Loading snacks.
What it do, snackers, snackettes, and snack X's? Your boy Gage is here with jokes.
Yo, yo.
You are now tuned in to Loading Snacks Weekly, where we get together once a week and talk about things happening in pop culture. And today we're going to discuss GTA 6. I'm positive not for the last time this year.
Definitely not.
We're going to talk about the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer. We're going to take a look at that. No spoilers. We're going to talk about Dragon Ball Super again. We are also going to discuss our top 5 X-Men films. But before we do that, need you to know, Jokes is going to get a link up for you. Goes to our website. When you get to the website, makes it easy for you to follow us across social media. Just jump in there, follow us everywhere. Make sure you hit the Instagram, Facebook if you're age appropriate. By that, I just mean old enough to Facebook. And then also our Patreon, which is really the best way to support us. Gives you the opportunity to monetarily support us, which allows us to keep doing what we're doing and travel and get equipment and all the kinds of stuff that we need to do in order for us to keep putting out content like this for you consistently.
Yes.
And having said that, going from Patreon into the Hall of Fame, it's time for the 619 Patreon Hall of Fame.
Yes, so let's shout out our top tier patrons, starting with Anthony Cunningham, Marcus Houston, Susan Dortch, Tyrone Carson, Meticulous Skin, Alex Lee, Ellis Mbe, and Kermit Ferguson. Thank you very much. We truly, truly appreciate it.
So now it is time for WHHW, which is what had happened was, which of course is last week's news. Now, we have 3 subjects to hit today. We don't have K. We're going to do this anyway. Do it, Jokes.
Number 1.
It's close. It's close. It's not exactly the same, but it's
not
close.
K. Like, I'll try, but I'm just not
But it's
K.
close, and I appreciate it. Look, so today the internet kind of had a bit of a conniption because the rumors are that there will be no physical release for GTA 6. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be one at all, but it would appear that at least at launch, there will be no physical release for GTA 6. Now, the reason behind this, Jokes, or what people seem to think might be the reason behind them doing this, is to avoid spoilers.
Okay.
Going gold, pressing the disc, and then getting the disc out. Somebody always breaks street date. There's no two ways about it. Somebody gets their hands on the disc, whether it is the company they pay to press the discs or whatever it is, stuff always leaks. And, I think they really want to avoid story spoilers, right? But with GTA, it's not just about story spoilers, right? It is about how the game works, how it will work in comparison to the last game, that kind of stuff. Those are spoilers too. Spoilers aren't for a game of this caliber just about story, right? They're about the kinds of things that you can do in the open world. They're about, what kind of interactions you can have, what kind of activities there are to do. And when you are up against what is the best-selling entertainment property of all time in GTA 5, you got some people on Wall Street you need to make happy. And I can completely understand not wanting spoilers to get out. Here's my question, Jokes. We have had many, many conversations
Just a couple.
on this show and others.
Just a couple.
About physical versus digital and the changeover, whatever. And we have talked before about how sometimes it takes for that major thing to happen to make people jump over, right? And we know that there are a lot of people who love physical, and physical is in a weird way making a comeback. It certainly is happening in music. With games, it's a little bit different. But GTA 6 is a different beast. Do you think that the naysayers, the people who are like stone cold, I don't want digital, I only want to do physical copies of things, do you think this is the thing that gets them over the hump? Are they buying GTA day one digital if it's not available physically?
I think they will. Now, I feel like it may not fully change their habits in doing it, but I think with the title like a GTA, this is the one where it's just like, okay, I have to break down. I need to play this the day that it comes out, so I'm gonna have to buy it digitally. Like we don't know anything about like GTA Online and how it's going to exist and things as of right now when it comes out for it, but definitely to get in, playing the story, doing different things like it's one thing to have it spoiled. Like with GTA, you kind of know certain elements that you are going to get. But when people are getting it from whoever a couple weeks before the game actually is supposed to release, and they're just going out here and just saying, "Hey, ABC, all this and that," like it kind of beats down what you want to experience when you get the title. So I do think this is going to be one of those that a lot of people are going to bend that bend that one rule and do digital for it.
How do you think it affects, again, like GTA 5, when it came out, in terms of like $1 billion worth of sales in like the first 24 hours? Like, again, fastest selling entertainment property across anything, music, TV, movies, whatever. Do you think they'll be able to beat it? Do you think
they
that
still
only
will.
having physical, only having digital, do you think that hurts them, or do you think it helps them?
Honestly, I think it's going to help them because you know what? I understand the people out there with wanting to have the physical copies and being able to preserve certain things just because digital, you don't know, they could yank it at any point. Those people that want the physical one, even though they digitally buy it, they're going to still end up going out and buying that physical disc. Now, whether that disc ends up
That is interesting because I was going to ask you, do you think people are double dip? Do you think they're going to buy it digitally and then still go buy the physical?
I think they will because if so, two different ways they could do it. One, take someone like me. I will typically with something like this, if there's like a collector's edition, a special edition that comes out, I will get that, depending on what's in the package with it. The majority of the time, it comes with the physical game in there. But we have been seeing with, and I would say use Destiny as one of the examples where they will release the special edition without the game in that package. And so you can buy it and digitally have the game earlier than what it is for you waiting to get it shipped to you on there for it. So I think that's one, because if they release something, whether it's a statue, certain perks, whatever it may be, that's going to be the one reason why a lot of people are still going to end up wanting to get the physical copy of it. Two, you still are going to have the people in those ways. They're going to be like, I'm not buying the game until the physical copy comes out, even if it is 4 or 5 months down the road before they finally decide, hey, we're going to go ahead and bring the physical versions of it out now.
Yeah. Do you think that, all right, so for those people who are like, we always end up having people who are like, I live somewhere where internet's not good, right? This game is probably going to be, I'm going to say 200 gigs minimum.
Easy.
Right? So like people with data caps and bad download speeds and all that kind of stuff, like, do you think they just don't buy it, or do you think they eat it and they're just like, you know what? It's going to take me a whole day to download it.
Probably so. Get them pre-orders up early enough. Like technically they're up, but I know they took them down at a point because of the release date move. But the sooner they can allow people to download that title, whether it be like a week before, where like the majority of it will be on the console, but you need that day one little patch to kind of unlock the thing, and so it'll go through. I think that's going to be one thing. It's crazy that we're still having to talk about certain rural areas and everything just not having great internet, but it kind of is still the same landscape, but depending on where you live at. But if they can give those people ample enough time to get it downloaded, regardless, it's going to be faster to hit digitally download that thing. Like even if you didn't get it available till midnight, then you going to GameStop, buying the game, and still having to drive back home and put the disc in the console, which still is going to have to do the same download. Yes, it's physically from the disc, so it's going to be a little bit quicker.
All of
But
it, you're not getting 200 gigs on one disc.
not at
It's
all.
not happening. So you're not going to be able to do that anyway. Like that's just not real. So you're going to have to download it regardless. You're going to have to put it on. But you know, I do think that a week ahead of time, they're gonna be like, you can download it now.
Mhm.
If you paid for it, whatever, you can download it now. It's already on your hard drive. So at midnight, when it comes out, we know you already took off work. Just go
The
ahead and
fact.
just go ahead and start playing at midnight. Look, I don't know for a fact that this is true, right? It's a rumor, but I could see it.
Yeah.
I could see them having already had a couple of leaks hit over the last couple of years. I could certainly see them making that decision to avoid it getting out early or having anybody, do something like that could cause an issue. I also think that just Rockstar being Rockstar and maybe having learned a couple of lessons, like, we've seen, if you go back all the way to like Hot Coffee, it was like, well, the game is on the disc and we took the content out of the game, but the content was still on the disc, even though you couldn't access it direct. You know what I mean? Like that. So with something like that, like they always kind of have to be careful about what they do and how that works. And so, again, I can certainly see him doing it. I was already gonna do it digitally anyway.
Yeah,
right?
same here. Like I'm gonna get it digital. Like if there's a special edition, it has to have something amazing in there. Like I didn't buy
what, a map?
I don't know. Like I didn't buy the special edition of 5. I did buy the special edition of 4 when it came out.
I think they both had a map in it. But what did you get?
Like it had the only thing that I remember, it had a lockbox in it. But other than that, I don't remember what the rest of the stuff was. But it had a lockbox with the GTA 4 logo on it. It was cool looking, but at the same time, it wasn't like a high end fire. If something catches on fire,
that was a different era, bro. Like that was a time, you're talking 360, when like special editions and all that, and having stuff that came with it was all the rage. That's not even really a thing like that anymore. I just, yeah, I mean, look, I could see him doing it. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think that Rockstar will be just fine. I think they may even eclipse numbers still, because I think there are a lot of people who have jumped on in the 11, 12 years that GTA 5 has been available. So many more people have continued to purchase that game that even with the crazy numbers for what they did when they sold it the way they did day one for GTA 5, there are so many more people who now, I mean, just think about the sheer number of gamers who didn't even play games or weren't old enough to play GTA 5 when it came out.
Yeah.
Again, 11 years ago, that now, on top of all the people that made that purchase day one last time, are now going to make that purchase this year on top of it. And I think that a lot of those people are young enough that they've always done digital anyway. Like they don't really know the difference. So I don't really think it's going to hurt them to have it that way. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. I definitely think there are people who will double dip. I'm not.
Nah, I don't have plans to double dip.
I'm not. That joint, listen, a physical special edition would have to come out with the release of GTA 6 Online, and that joint would have to have like crazy shark cards in it or something like that.
Hey,
like I had to start now. Like then I might
$100
be like,
shark card for $50 in the box. Like that, it had to be something like OC crazy like that in there. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%, bro, 100%. All right, look, let's move on to the next topic. Hit me with it, Jokes.
Number 2.
Well done, sir. Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2 teaser hit today. Jokes, if you would jump into the doc,
already got it,
and pull that trailer. Let's take a look at it and see what we have. You watched it?
No, I didn't, because I knew we were going to watch it here.
Neither, dog. So let's see what we're up against. right
see
now.
how well this plays.
I did my job.
Mm.
I paid my dues. Love is for fools.
We definitely getting a hit for this.
Nobody gives a I feel liberated. Over medicated.
Hey!
You can walk because I'm not carrying you.
It was already dead. What you want, I can tell by the look on your.
Saw or shovel?
Why are you boxing the Kingpin? Oh!
Nobody gives
I'm with it.
And that date, I was like,
All right, bro. Listen. Two things. Jessica Jones
yes, sir.
and Foggy. What is going on, Jokes? What are we doing?
Oh. Hey, listen, the Jessica showing up makes sense. I know for some people seeing Foggy right now, you're probably like, what the hell is happening here right now? But
Yeah.
depending on how they twist things, like, hey, listen, it's a thing in the comics, so I'm eager to see how they spin that. Hey, I just want to know, what did you have to do to have to get in the ring to box the Kingpin?
I don't know, but whatever it is, it ain't good.
Because he is a.
That's not.
Oh man,
I'm amped for this joint. Now, here's what I need to know, Jokes. Is there going to be anything in this season that ties directly to Brand New Day? Punisher is in Brand New Day. It's confirmed.
I'm gonna
This
say
Daredevil was in Spider-Man. Like, that's where we saw him. That's where the confirmation came from. Are we going to see something?
I'm going to say at this stage in the game, yes. Now, obviously, Matt Murdock shouldn't know Peter Parker anymore because of what went down, but they never really had an interaction as Spider-Man and Daredevil. So
but people forgot Peter Parker. They didn't forget Spider-Man.
Right. So I feel like at this stage in him,
like that never. I'm sorry, but that never assumes that he knew that he was Spider-Man.
Right.
He could tell, but
I think now, since the things have changed and now Spidey is going to be doing like the ground level work versus like right now doing like going into space and type stuff, I feel like their paths should cross more easily now within New York City,
especially if Punisher's in it. All right, is there anything in this show that ties directly into Doomsday?
I don't know if we get the Doomsday element yet.
Okay.
I don't think the Doomsday element, if they end up doing it, I feel like maybe somehow they're together in Brand New Day, whether it be in passing, and obviously something just happens that ties them all to need to be in whatever spot that is. I don't think the show, as much as trying to tie in everything to it, I don't think the show is necessarily going to do it just yet. But I do think when they do branch off and show up maybe in Brand New Day, I think that's where we could potentially see it at. Especially now with the, obviously the date shifting and now Brand New Day being before Doomsday, I feel like that type of change could be an interesting one that they can make to it.
I agree. Do you think we're going to get any other good villains in Daredevil? Like, do you think somebody else shows up? Like, look, I don't have anything against Kingpin. I think Kingpin is a great villain. I think Kingpin is a great villain for Daredevil. I think Bullseye is also a good villain for Daredevil, but like as much as I enjoy it and I enjoy the back and forth, there is a part of me that feels like at some point, like we got to fight somebody besides King. Like there
Right.
needs to be somebody besides Kingpin.
I feel like with Jessica showing up, don't get me wrong, like obviously she's in New York. I feel like somebody else is going to present themselves because I feel like you wouldn't give us super powered Jessica Jones. Like obviously She-Hulk is probably not going to be a thing probably going forward at this point. So we need another super-powered being to be on the side of Daredevil because something's going to happen that him just throwing a normal punch and stuff is just not going to be able to handle.
Is she going to be the only one out of the Defenders that shows up? If she's there, is Luke there somewhere? Do they even bring them up? Do they talk about Iron Fist?
I think they still bring him
Refer
up.
to any of the old content or even bring up Luke or her and Luke together? What's going on?
I think they bring him up. Like obviously the Defender, like they're probably reminisce about all four of them being together, but we'll probably briefly touch on it and move on. At least to the fact
I mean,
that you
there's
know
a part
what?
of me that feels like they kind of they don't have to say like, but if she shows up, why don't the other one show up? Like, why
Right.
does she show up to help and like they don't, and nobody else does?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they'll
All right, I
probably
mean, you know
briefly
what?
touch on it, and then we
They'll
don't
do
hear
that, and
nothing
then
about
that'll
it
be it.
again until Doomsday at this point where they're fighting and they just randomly show up.
I mean, okay. All right. I'm with it. I'm at March is very close.
Yo, yes. Like,
Very close. So
Very
we
close.
definitely got I might have to do like a revisit. I might have to go back and like rewatch like the last maybe 2 episodes of Born Again just
I
to
think
kind of
so. I'll probably do the same thing.
refresh myself. All right, let's move on to the next
Actually,
topic.
before we move on, actually, I'll
Oh,
throw in because we got a couple people that was chiming,
okay.
just saying
Okay,
they in the
perfect.
building.
What's up, Kai?
Just want to acknowledge everyone that's in the house right now.
Andrew, what up? Andrew says, hello, guys. Hope y'all staying warm and safe in the aftermath of the storm. Let me tell you about the math of the aftermath of this storm. That ice up under that snow is no joke.
It is no joke.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I hope you're
Barely
doing this
got
thing,
one
man.
of the cars dug out.
Yeah, I hear you. What's up, Nana? Good to see you too. Oh man, listen, Doctor Who. Always a pleasure. Marcus, what up, fam? Good to see you hanging out. All right, let's do it.
Number 3.
Dragon Ball Super again. Jokes. Why are you clapping for this? Listen.
Because I'm happy. It's coming back in multiple
Alright.
ways.
All right, so look. So 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball
Mm-hmm.
is upon us. Bandai did a stream that was about the 40th anniversary. They covered a lot of stuff. A new game that's coming. Like they covered a lot of stuff. New stuff for Sparking Zero, DLC, this 1,000 Ages game that's coming out. I sent you something about that. Like, I don't know if that was yesterday or whatever. But technically 2 new shows in the Dragon Ball universe. So Dragon Ball Super Beerus, specifically. Talk to me about this, Jokes. I'm familiar with Super. I know what happened with it. I know what's going on. I know people were not happy with it, with like really the first 2 seasons being retellings of the movies that came out and that kind of thing. But kind of give me the overall synopsis of like what people didn't like and why this is an important thing to happen.
Got it. So for those who know, so Dragon Ball Super Beerus, as of right now, is a complete remake of essentially the first season of Dragon Ball Super. It was a movie as well too, and it did adapt the movie into the beginning part of the series. When it came out, there were a lot of issues with animation and different things happening within the show. And normally those type of things, the only way for you to catch it is to like freeze frame things to actually catch some of the bad animation, but this was like, no, you just straight watched it and the animation was bad at major chunks of the show. They did finally come out and admit that Super in the beginning stages was rushed.
Sure.
So reason with a lot of the animation and the quality issues, going from like the movies into Super, granted, I don't expect you to put movie quality animation all the time into your show, but when you had the major disconnect between what like Dragon Ball Z looked like and when you got to Super, a lot of people had issues. So
Sure.
now we're completely, as of right now, they've only stated that Beerus is the one that's being remade. They
Right.
didn't specify that it was going to be like the whole rest of the series, which possibility, but as of right now, we're just getting the remake of the Beerus saga of Dragon Ball Super.
Right.
Just from looking at the trailer, major overhaul in the animation. It looks like Dragon Ball Z, the way that the design and things were, but
Yeah.
upgraded into modern time.
HD, if you will.
HD, easy way to say it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, it looks like the artwork and animation of the original Dragon Ball Z, but using modern animation techniques is what it looks like. Modern animation techniques and quality is what it looks like, without a lot of what felt like shortcuts from the first few episodes. Now, I didn't watch through Super. I did watch the first few episodes, and I mostly hated it. So maybe, right? Maybe this is for me. Probably not. But maybe this is for me. I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z recently. Like a lot of Dragon Ball Z recently. And it's okay. I'm not like, it's all right. But I literally like last night watched the first appearance of Trunks. Like, just
classic.
It is a classic. It is a classic. No two ways about it. But anyway, they also announced though that they're doing Dragon Ball Super Galactic Patrol Saga, which I know is a saga that existed in the manga. That I guess deserves its own telling at this point. I mean, they didn't really get the manga and Super didn't really line up in terms of what was being shown in animation and when it was going live and what was happening in the manga. And the manga eventually surpassed what happened in the show. And this arc wasn't really told in Super. So they are visiting the Galactic Patrol Saga. Is now a good time for it? I mean, Super ended in what, 2018?
It was So I think
8 years ago.
I think this is perfect. You know, they took as a whole for a little bit. They did take a little hiatus when Akira Toriyama passed away.
Sure.
And they were working on at the time Dragon Ball Daima, which is as of right now it's kind of like a side story type of thing. But I think right now, with coming up to the 40th anniversary of the Dragon Ball franchise, I think this is your perfect opportunity to come back in shining force, I guess will be the way to say it. Even though obviously, like the game project, we're still a couple years out from that. We just got a very, very small glimpse of still something we have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, just like you mentioned the 1,000 age thing. We know it's set in the future. I have a feeling it probably could be Xenoverse 3. Because they do the whole age thing in the Xenoverse, but of course, completely could be wrong. But I think on the heels of being the 40th anniversary,
They do another Budokai?
You said no. I don't think it's Budokai. Sparking Zero, which is currently doing very well right now with all of the quality of life updates and things. I don't think we'll see another Budokai successor. Clearly, from what they showed, it's not fighters.
Yeah,
Right now,
that's
it
for sure.
looks like it's more of a Xenoverse type of thing
Yeah.
for it.
Okay.
I'm happy to know that it's out there, and Bandai Namco's pretty good about when they tell you when something's coming out. So I think 2 years is pretty
Probably about
solid
right.
for what we're looking at on there for. Yeah, 2 years because it'll probably be close to the end of 2027 typically for it to come
Yeah.
out. But no, yeah, overall, I think for the 40th anniversary, it's a great time to be able to introduce the new saga into it. Like the manga finally got pretty far in front of the animation,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
gave it a good little buffer where they're at right now to be able to bring it back. They didn't say anything specifically about the manga coming back because that also is kind of on its little bit of a break right now.
Right.
But it would nice to see if they end up doing the same thing for that as well too.
I mean, I could see them redoing Beerus, taking the Galactic Patrol saga, and then using that to branch off into the other pieces of the
Mm,
manga that happened after the anime ended, after the show
mm,
ended. And not really revisit all of what Super had in it. The
mhm.
things about Super that I do appreciate are things like them basically taking Broly, which was like really a side story that wasn't canon, and basically making it canon.
Yeah.
Um, I think that kind of stuff is cool and is important because a character like a Broly is such a big deal and was so important and meant so
Hmm.
much to so many people that it needed. I think it needed to be canonized. And so I appreciate it for that. But I certainly can see that there's more to be told,
Hmm.
within the story verse. And I can't think of the current um person's name. I know a lot of it. So I know a lot of what happened with Dragon again, because while I don't, it's gonna sound wrong. I don't really care as much about the manga itself and the anime itself, but like the business of what's going on. I know
Hmm.
that there was some IP issues with the company that had the rights to the IP for manga and so forth,
Hmm.
and the company that had the rights to the IP for like games and
Hmm.
animation. And there was like a fight there that had been going on, which is a lot of why after 2018 there really wasn't anything that was happening. And so, Daima kind of existed in this place in the middle where, because it was like taking them back to being kids again and wasn't quite redoing Dragon Ball.
I feel like Daima was trying to be more of Toriyama's GT. Because for a
Yes.
lot of people,
Yeah.
don't know this. Like when Dragon Ball GT came out, that actually wasn't
Wasn't Toriyama.
Toriyama's project. Obviously,
Right.
characters were inspired by Akira Toriyama, but that was a
Yeah.
whole different group that did it. But this was actually Akira making his spin on, keeping like Super Saiyan 4 Goku and things
Right.
like that and being able to extend. So I think that was a real good thing to take a character like that. Like the Super Saiyan 4, like personally is one of my favorite forms that they kind of, there was just no way to introduce it outside of just getting him to a point where we could introduce it into the show.
Right.
It's technically still not canon because Daima is a side thing. Maybe eventually they'll do something like that, but
I mean, I think
um,
it happens in this. I think that in this retelling
mm,
of Super, I think they can find a way to canonize it. So I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
if they do that.
Because I always feel like at some point, if like say the goal was to make, timeline wise to make GT somewhat canon, I always felt as though Goku and Vegeta were gonna have to lose like the god powers. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that just overshadows everything else because when you have god powers. But hey, who
I mean,
knows?
you're right. All right, man. Well, look, we'll see how it turns out. I'm expecting more Dragon Ball news throughout the year. Again, I think they're gonna do some really big things to celebrate the 40th
Oh yeah.
anniversary of Dragon Ball. I have seen things about rumors of a possible remake of Dragon Ball. We'll see. You know
Be
what I mean?
very.
If that
I know the
happens, but
next big stuff will come from the Battle Hour.
Yeah.
Where it's mostly video. That's just mostly video game focused, where they have like all the tournaments and everything come from. That's where we'll get the next update on the game. But it wouldn't surprise me for them to, drop in a nugget like something else, like
Yeah.
another teaser trailer or something. But that would be the next stop around. I think that may be around like June, so about right around mid-year.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Listen, that wraps it up for WHHW. It's time for us to talk about our top 5 X-Men films. Now, look, we're not gonna dig too deep into this, right? Like, we'll give a little bit of a explanation for where we are. I think depending on what we've chosen and where they are. I don't know what your list is. You don't know
Same.
what my list is.
I don't know what your list is. I feel like we'll have some similar things in our list. I feel like we probably are going to have them in different orders than anything else.
Maybe. I don't really know where you sit in terms of how you feel about the X-Men films, like the X-Men franchise film specifically as a whole. I don't know that we've ever talked about that.
I don't think we ever have. Yeah.
Maybe let's kind of do that first to kind of preface, because when those films came out, we were very different times of our lives. So like, so like where I was and what X-Men meant to me when the first X-Men film came out in 2000, I'm positive is very different from where you were. I don't even know what your knowledge of X-Men was like at that time.
I'll make it super easy actually on that one. For me, I watched the original X-Men cartoon when it came on Fox. So from there and within like
so 92
in 92 and like Spider-Man and all them, I'm game for. I wasn't into comics probably like you were at that point to kind of know some more of the backstory and all of that. So all of my X-Men experience was pretty much from the animated series on down from there.
Okay. I'm so never the comic books.
No, I didn't get into the comics probably until, honestly, my comics probably didn't really start up until after Iron Man came out, and that was when I kind of shifted. Yeah, I didn't really have a big background in comics. Like, I had a few, mostly just from random occurrences to get them than anything else, but never as far as like collecting like a complete series really and reading and keeping up with it than anything else.
Got it. Okay. And when the first live action film came out in 2000, you got to remember that this is at a time when superhero movies still aren't really a thing. They're not a real thing. Like, they're not a good thing anyway, right? So it's not that it was difficult to get excited about. I will say that thinking back to like the original trailer and first hearing about it and kind of knowing what they, not knowing exactly what they were going to do with it, but like knowing like what characters were going to be in it. The only thing I can say that I recall being really excited about was the perfect casting that was Patrick Stewart as Professor X. It is the one thing that was like perfect. They did it. Gotta go see this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything else, because truthfully, almost everybody else in it is a note. Like, this is no, like, we don't know these people with the exception of Halle Berry.
Halle Berry at that point.
Halle Berry as Storm was like,
it was still a little like, I was like, I give it because it was Halle Berry at the time, and I was just like, okay, cool.
No. We didn't like that. We didn't like that. It's not because it's Halle Berry. No, we didn't like that. That is not what we wanted. We didn't like it. We wanted Angela Bassett. And it still should have been Angela Bassett. Like, that's who's, like, so at the time that it came out, like, the kinds of conversations that we were having as comic book heads, comic book nerds who grew up reading them and watching the cartoons and stuff like that or whatever, but like, you know, really reading the comics. No, these people like Hugh Jackman didn't have a name. We didn't know him.
No, not
We
at
didn't know
all.
Anna Paquin. You know what I mean? Like Taylor Maine was like a wrestler that nobody knew. Like nobody knew that dude, playing Sabretooth. Rebecca Romaine might have been the
Kind of been a
next
little bit,
most
yeah.
popular person in it. Femke Jameson, nobody, we didn't know her. Like, it's not that they hadn't done anything before, but they weren't like
Main
household names, at least
yeah.
not to the movie going public that was going to check in for an X-Men movie. Like, these people were not, this is not it. You know what I'm saying? Ian McKellen, there's no Lord of the Rings yet. Like, we don't have, there's no Gandalf.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart have been doing stuff for years, but Ian McKellen was not a name we knew in America. He was not a Hollywood. These were not people who we could actually get excited about in terms of the casting. You know what I mean? Like realistically, right? James Marsden, who is that?
Yeah.
Like we just didn't know. We just didn't know any of these people. So like for it to come out at the time that it did and to be technically as good as it was truthfully kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Like it just was. You know what I mean? And once they did it, I was like, all right, well, we gotta do another. Let's go. Having said that, there's been a lot of films. There are technically 14 films in the franchise overall, if you include the Deadpool movies. We're not talking about that.
Yeah,
we're doing X-Men stuff. This is where we are. But there are a lot of X-Men films. So let's go back and forth. Let's do our number 5s.
Dig it.
And then our 4s. And then, all right. So what's your number 5?
Number 5 is X1.
So the first X-Men.
First X-Men movie.
Interesting. That's interesting. All right. My number 5 is the third film, The Last Stand.
Ugh.
For real?
Listen, I need to go back and rewatch. Personally, me, out of the 3, I hated the third one. I don't know why. It just didn't. It didn't sit right with me for some reason. And I'm not talking about Professor X getting killed in there, because that don't get me wrong, that still traumatized me. But I don't know. The third movie, for whatever reason, just didn't resonate the same way. It seemed to me like that didn't seem like a trilogy wrap up type of movie to me. I felt like there was something that should have been more. But either way, I wasn't a big fan of the third one.
I mean, it wasn't. Like, it wasn't really a trilogy wrap-up. I don't think it was supposed to be the last
I don't think so either.
movie. But again, they had already moved to a place
Mm-hmm.
where Hugh Jackman was everything. And we're going that direction. So,
Yeah.
That's, it's Wolverine. We gotta go that road. And that's what they did next. All right, what's your number 4?
X2.
X2.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mine is Days of Future Past.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Days of Future Past is a better story. I don't necessarily think it's a better.
Yeah, it was bound to happen.
They didn't like that at all.
There you go.
They didn't like that at all.
Not at all.
I think that Days of Future Past, compared to Last Stand, for my last 2, I think Days of Future Past is a better story from comic book across the board than The Last Stand is a story. But Last Stand might be a better movie. I think that the story of Days of Future Past ended up making for a better movie in the end.
You know what? Cuddy just brought up something. Yeah, because like it definitely wasn't set up as the last from the post credit scene of Professor moving his mind to another body. Very, very valid.
Correct.
Hey, and
That's
funny he brings that up because and this is also before like after credit scenes were really a thing. So my dad took me to.
um,
It wasn't the full on norm. I guess would be the way to say it. Because I went and saw this with my dad,
mhm,
and when the credits rolled, we dipped.
of course you did.
I did not originally see the after credit scene for that movie, and
Mm,
it wasn't. I wasn't until I'm trying to even remember. Someone said something to me and was like talking about the after. I'm like, the hell are you talking about? What is an after credit scene? And saw it afterwards, and I was just like,
mhm, mhm. Yeah. What's your number three?
crazy enough, number 3 is First Class for me. Um,
Yep. I don't like that, but
I know
okay.
you. I knew you weren't.
I don't
Listen,
like that at all.
First Class is excellent. I mean,
I agree.
it's it is like this. This is more of the personal things that come into play, but I think they did everything right with First Class. Like
I I 100% agree.
I have no gripes or anything with First Class. I
Not at
think
all.
they reintroduced everyone in a good way without, and then actually taking out, like, say, Wolverine, which was at that time, was probably the front and center person, and not actually utilizing him in there. They did a great job
Yeah,
at
not
not
probably.
doing that.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, number 3 is First Class for me.
My number three is the original X-Men.
Mm.
I think the first X-Men film, I think that first movie, again, like it hasn't aged super well.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about looking at movies now, I think the internet has made it so that we as the going public have such a better understanding of how movies are made and what the technology is that goes
Hmm.
into making movies, and especially in that time frame, DVDs were a big deal, not just because of the quality of the video and the format, but because of the DVD extras. That was
Hmm.
such a big deal. And many times you had the audio that was on it that was telling you about, you could watch the movie with the audio of them explaining how they shot things or
Hmm.
whatever, and you got a lot of behind the scenes stuff that otherwise you wouldn't get until like maybe way later or something like that. And literally having rewatched that first film this weekend, I don't know if I would have put it in as my third if I hadn't just rewatched it. It it is it is definitely a product of its time in terms of what the like the CG looks like.
Hmm.
But as a whole, like it actually, as a movie, it holds up pretty well. If you can get past the things that we hated when it first came out, which was yellow spandex, um, and like some of the things they didn't quite do right with like Rogue or something like that.
Yeah.
But overall, these are, I mean, it's my tops. I think that's my number three. What's your number two?
Number 2 is Logan.
Hmm.
Um, I
Now,
thought.
I'm just gonna say now, I didn't include any Wolverine films in this. I only did X-Men
Mm,
films. I didn't do any, and I'm cool with you picking Logan, but if I will tell you right now that if I was gonna include Wolverine films in it, Logan
mm,
is the best film out of all of these joints. It
mm,
would be my number one if
mm.
I was gonna do that. I don't think they have a better movie than that, but we'll see what your number one is,
I
and I
think
will
you already
judge you
you.
accordingly.
I feel like you already know what it is.
I'm
Uh,
not sure that I know what it is based on Logan being
mm.
where it is. I'm not positive, but why Logan where it is.
Um, I think same thing. Logan was a great wrap up story for Wolverine. I thought they did
Okay.
a great thing, and of course, there were a few X Men characters that were in ways and forms sprinkled throughout in there, including, of course, Professor X, who at that point that was the second time I'd seen Professor X die on screen, and I'm just like, don't do that to me again. Um,
And you be all right. We saw
We're up
It
to
has
what?
happened again.
We're at 4. I think are we at 3 or 4? Must
Three
be
at least.
3. 3. Yeah, 3.
Doctor
Third one
Strange.
didn't hit as much because it was like, okay, we're in multiverse territory now, so it really is kind of irrelevant at
I
this
don't know.
point.
That joint was still rough, but yeah, yeah.
But no, the story for Logan was just absolutely incredible. Um, being able to take like the old man Logan story and being able to put it in a movie format while still trying to stay in the confines of where we were doing with the live action movies. I was really impressed at the way they were able to handle that and actually get it out for it. Especially taking out, obviously not having like Hulk and things like that. Like at least by this time now, I was more fully, what's the word I'm looking for, in tune with things that happen in the comics.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, okay, how do you do a story like this when you take out some of those main elements?
Yeah.
But they were able to nail it to the T, give us a couple new characters, talking like X-23, and potentially being able to build off of something like that into the future, which we did go back and we ended up touching back on again with Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah.
I thought that was taking what at the time we're saying like a superhero movie and really giving it like that Western feel, which was
Yeah.
a little bit different, which I really liked what they did for it.
Yeah.
But I thought they
I'll take that.
executed Logan to the T.
So my number 2 is X2.
Mm-hmm.
The second X-Men film, more or less, perfectly takes everything they did right in the first X-Men film and steps it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything is a bit, and it's everything you want a sequel to be. Like I don't honestly feel like you can think that the first X-Men movie is better than the second X-Men movie. Like it is exactly what a sequel should be. It is what you got in the first one that you love, removing many of the things you didn't like or weren't quite there, and being like, all right, we did well, we made a lot of money, we can take that money and put it back in, and we can take everything up a notch. And I just think they did. It's again, once you accept the franchise for what it is, I think at the time it was still very, very difficult for people to accept that the things that they were doing on screen didn't match exactly what happened in the comics, right? We would have a lot of those conversations leaving the theaters or going into the theaters or whatever, going, well, that's not what really happened. We would hit the actually in the comics, they, like, and that's, which is still part of it, but it's like we allow them to exist as their own universes the way that comics have multiple universes and stuff like that. We began to treat the X-Men films. I think it's at that point that we really did accept that, like, okay, it's different from the comics and it's okay for it to be different from the comics, right? And it kind of solidified itself that way. And Halle Berry gave up the accent because that joint was trash.
Yeah.
Just be Holly, man.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Like, just, yeah. All right. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Days of Future Past.
Okay.
Before we got fully, like, I know this will cut it. Before we got fully tainted on the Jennifer Lawrence piece of it, like, I thought Days of Future Past was put together really well. Especially trying to take, OG cast and being able to incorporate the new cast to go alongside with them.
Yeah.
I thought at one point there was going to be like a lot of clashing between, jumping from the past to the future. Like sometimes with time movies, it could be a little iffy. But I thought he did a really good job at putting the film together. Obviously by the time we get to the end, really, it's hard to say that it was solidified that which variation of the X-Men were going to be in existence at that point. Because, obviously we have the new cast, but then we went back fully to the old cast. So it was kind of like, okay, interesting. But this is probably where we started entering multiverse territory. We had just really started to scrape that surface. So it was something to believe in, but I really enjoyed what they did with bringing the two teams together and making it work for it. Giving us some of the true X-Men, having like Sentinels and all that. Granted, we've seen them in the original
Yeah.
movies, but it was different with the way the variation they were trying to do it with the future ones, because the future Sentinels were a
Bananas.
problem.
Yeah.
Were a problem
Bananas.
Um,
Murderer.
of everything. But
Yeah.
Days of Future Past for me.
I mean, again, I just rewatched that over the weekend again. It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. I still have the issues of, again, the like focus on Mystique and all of that kind of stuff. And we've talked plenty of times about like where I think that ended up being a folly for the films, not for the business, but for
Right.
the film. And the storytelling that revolved around that. But for me, my number one is First Class. I think First Class is the most perfectly executed X-Men film that has ever been done. Again, when I say that, I mean X-Men. Like, I didn't pick anything that doesn't have X-Men in the title, right? Like, I might have been like, you could have done X-Men Origins Wolverine. But if that was in your top 5, I was just going to kick you off the show.
Oh, no, that was
So,
nope.
so I'll take a Logan, you know what I'm saying, by comparison. But like, that First Class is so well done in terms of the sheer number of characters they introduce, going hard and like offing some characters, you know what I mean, if you will. Not happy about it, but it happened. But I actually think I don't think it's just the best film from I think cinematically, I think the way that it's shot, I think the way the characters are acted, I think that there was so much content that already existed for these new actors to pull from in those roles, that they took it to a new level. And I was very surprised. And I like the idea of them showing them operating in the 60s, tying it into the things that X-Men has always been tied to. They've always been tied to things that were actually happening in history. So tying them to like the Cuban Missile Crisis and like all that kind of stuff. And really taking the opportunity to say, this is why Charles Xavier can't walk. Here's what it is. Here's whose fault it is. Here's how it happened. It was dope. Like, it's dope. And it's still like, I think it's a better movie than any of the rest of the movies in the franchise, probably except for Logan. I think Logan is a better movie. Just hands down, anybody can sit down and watch Logan, whether you care about superheroes or not. I think First Class is the best of the best as far as before it got like out of hand. Jennifer Lawrence out of hand.
Yeah.
So that's where we have it. Do me a favor, let's revisit your top 5 and we'll revisit mine.
Cool. So number 5 is X1, 4 is X2, 3 is First Class, 2 is Logan, and 1 is Days of Future Past.
Okay. Mine is number 5, X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Number 4, X-Men Days of Future Past. Number 3, X-Men. Number 2, X2, X-Men United. And then number 1, X-Men First Class. I think they're 2 pretty solid lists. And we may dig in those a little bit later and give a little more backstory on some of those for the Patreon members later on. But on that note, honorable mentions. Do you have any honorable mentions for your list? I don't. So
I don't. Yeah, I really didn't have any honorable mentions. Honestly, I think the ones that we all kind of picked were the best of the best.
Right.
I have a weird thing. Like, as much as the after the Jennifer Lawrence thing, for some reason, and this is the craziest thing, and I still don't know why, I actually enjoyed Dark Phoenix as crazy as it was all over the place, like the story, like they didn't touch on a lot of things. I don't know why. I actually liked Dark Phoenix.
Hmm.
And maybe it was because of the elements of seeing like, Magneto finally finding his place, things like that. I don't know. I think is what really did it in it for it. But by all means, it's not going on a top list or anything like that because
Okay.
it's not. But it's one of those weird ones that like I liked it, even though it kind of unfortunately was a product of what it was that they were trying to do at the time.
Sure.
But
I think that what I'll say in terms of like the list and the X-Men movies as a whole, I think New Mutants is a sleeper.
mhm,
I think a lot of people didn't realize or pay any mind to it. It's different in that it's a bit of a horror film,
mhm.
but I think it's actually really good and totally worth a watch. So if you haven't seen it, I say go see it. All right, look, Wonder Man hits tonight.
It's already
Technically, it
live.
hit like 30 minutes ago. It's
Mhm.
live now. Should be live now, East Coast time, 9 o'clock. Wonder Man. It's getting really good reviews. So, we'll see how that pans out. I will say this: last week. We got He-Man and the Masters of the Universe teaser.
Mhm.
We got a teaser for Star Wars Maul, which looks incredible. We
Yep.
got a trailer for season 4 of Invincible.
Mhm.
All of which Jokes and I are gonna watch separately, talk about them, how we feel about them. We're gonna upload that separate. That will be a Patreon exclusive. And I do want to say this because this is kind of important. Zootopia 2 is now the highest grossing international movie made in Hollywood of all time.
It's crazy.
632.2 million with Endgame at 632.1.
That's crazy.
So just hold on for me for a second. There is no part of me that does not believe that they haven't announced it yet, but they are going to re-release Endgame into the theater right
Okay.
before Doomsday comes back out. There's no.
Oh no,
there's
they
no-
already made that official.
Yeah,
That's already official.
but I think they're gonna do it together. And here's what I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna re-release Avatar too. I think they're gonna put Avatar back in the theater again. I don't think they'll allow themselves. Here's part of why. I think that all the hype around Dune and Doomsday being a thing
Uh-huh.
with Dune and Doomsday coming out on the same day, I think Disney's gonna go for broke. Like they're just gonna be
Yeah.
like, we about to we're not even gonna give them a chance. We just gonna pile it on. So I think that's definitely happening. All right. We have a couple of events coming up. Looks like not this coming weekend, but a couple weekends from now. I will be at Big Lick Comic-Con in Roanoke. Following that, I do want to say there is a virtual event happening February, I think it's 26th and 27th for Virtuous Con, which is put on by our good friend Cerise Rennie Murphy. So that is February, like the last weekend in February. We do have KatsuCon the weekend of Valentine's Day. I don't know. I don't know if we're going or not. Kay is going. I don't know if the two of us are going to shoot in or not. We may shoot in for a day. That's still up in the air. We have BlurCon the first weekend of March.
Mm-hmm.
Jokes, what is our Being Comfortable Being a Geek panel is Friday.
Friday at 4 p.m. And hold on, I want to tell you, I think it was
Jefferson, I think.
Thought it was Washington. I'm going to tell you right now.
Which we'll post about it.
Yep. Washington B in the Hyatt.
Washington, not the Jefferson. Washington B in the Hyatt on Was it the 6th?
Friday. Yep, the 5th, the 6th, the 6th. Yep, Friday the 6th.
So we have that, and then the following weekend is AwesomeCon. So we're in season.
Mm-hmm.
It's going down. It's real now. So yeah, we have a lot of stuff that's coming your way. Beats and beatdowns. It looks like it's pretty much done. We'll get that squared away and hit some dates for you. If you are a Patreon member, there is you'll see tonight go up the snacking and hanging for January, which kind of details some of the things that are going on and some stuff that we're doing. I highly encourage you, if you're a Patreon member, to go and check that out when that hits later this evening. Other than that, it's time for the thank yous. I want to thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight, being amongst us. All you all who are chatting, watching, listening in the background. I want to give a special shout out to the lurkers, as I always do. We appreciate you being here. You know, whether you're comfortable commenting or not, we love that you're here with us. Jokes?
Yes, sir.
Tell the folks what I need them to know.
Remember, y'all, just because you have a well thought out plan doesn't make it a good idea.
With that, we're out. Toodles and loos.
Loading snacks.
Tighten it up. Get your wing up and down.